All right. So, Matt, last night, Ashley was a little sad. She was upset and everything. Huh. So I let her color in my tattoos to make her feel better.
Okay.
She just needed a shoulder to crayon.
Oh, man.
You're welcome. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Graveyard. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Adam.
And my name's Matt.
Now, pull up a tombstone or settle into your casket and get comfortable because this is Graveyard Tales. All right, everybody, here we are again. Matt, how you doing tonight, brother?
Not bad, brother. I'm making it.
Good. Surviving
yeah.
I don't know. There's that saying, starving like Marvin. I was trying to come up with surviving, but I couldn't think of anything that rhymed with surviving. I didn't think of a name.
I don't know that I have one either.
See, if you got a name that rhymes with surviving, let me know, and I'll do that next time Matt says he's making it. But real quick, we'll say go over to patreon.com/Graveyard Tales. If you're watching the video, you can get this little thingy up here in the corner, scan that QR code, go there. But we have 3 different levels that you can sign up for. We've got a $1, a $5, and a $10. All levels, they get a bonus episode a week. Mm-hmm. Even on our dark weeks, you get a bonus episode a week. Granted, we have had the occasional time that we are dark on Patreon, but it's out of some weird happenstance rather than a scheduled dark week. So even on our dark weeks, we put out episodes on Patreon so you can get your fix of mine and Matt's weird Southern accents. If you move up to $5, you get the bonus episode, plus you get audio and video versions of an ad-free main episode. So if we have ads that week, you get ad-free on Patreon. Then if you move up to $10, you get all that ad-free, you get the bonus episodes, plus you get our second show, Side Quest. And that is something totally different than Graveyard Tales. That's just me and Matt doing whatever the heck we want to do.
It's like freestyle rap.
Basically, yeah. Yep. I'd say about 30% of the shows Matt is topless. 90% of the shows I'm bottomless, but I'm sitting down, so it doesn't matter. You can't tell. I could be bottomless right now, for all you know.
He probably is.
But it's something totally different than Graveyard Tales. We do. We ate nasty jelly beans. We drank weird sodas. We like to play trivia games. Well, Matt likes to play trivia games and make me look dumb. I like to tell Matt different historical stories or survival stories that I find interesting. And I got a good one that we're going to record later, Matt. I think you'll enjoy it.
I'm looking forward to it.
But go over there to patreon.com/Graveyard Tales or scan this QR code in the top corner. Sign up to become a patron. And it's something, get your friends to do it. This is one of the things that peer pressure is good for. It's not good for illicit substances, but it is good for Patreon. So I promise they will be addicted, and it will be a good addiction. They will love it. So patreon.com/Graveyard Tales. All right, Matt. So that's all the rambling I'm going to do for the intro here. So why don't you tell us, what are we talking about tonight, brother?
Okay, so tonight we're headed to a place that doesn't just have ghost stories. It has layers of them. I'm talking about Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
A city where the history goes back for centuries, and in some cases, it never really left.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Adam tonight, as usual, he's going to be covering the history, and trust me, you're going to need that context because everything that I'm going to discuss about these hauntings tells you everything just sits right on top of it.
Yeah.
Literally. Okay. So we're going to talk about what happens when you stack ancient Native American spiritual land, Spanish colonial violence, religious devotion, tragedy, illness, and death all in one place. And then you just keep living there.
Yeah, right. Instead of going, hey, I'm going to leave because this is crazy, you just stay there.
You just stay, okay? And experience all of that, forever. It's a pretty unique place. So, Adam, let's not hold off any longer. Tell us about the history of Santa Fe, New Mexico.
All right. So as we always say, go down on the bottom of the show notes. You can check our sources. Everything we talk about tonight is sourced and referenced in our sources down there, so you can continue learning if you're interested in it, because there is a ton of history to this place that I won't be able to cover because we just don't have 17 hours for me to talk about it. I mean, this goes back, way before 1000 AD. So go check our sources if you want to continue going along. Now, Santa Fe, New Mexico, it's the oldest state capital in the United States, and it's one of North America's longest continuously inhabited cities, sitting at the crossroads of indigenous, Spanish, Mexican, and American history. So that's something else to keep in mind. On top of everything else, Santa Fe, New Mexico is a crossroads. We know a lot about crossroads. We know a lot about liminal spaces. Santa Fe is a crossroad and a liminal space. So keep that in mind. Now, this is indigenous foundation, so the pre-1500s. For centuries before the Spanish arrived, the area around Santa Fe was home to Pueblo-style villages that were flourishing roughly between 1050 and 1150 AD. Now, archaeologists believe that early Pueblos eventually abandoned the site about 200 years before the Spanish coming in like the 1600s. So I don't know why they write it like that, Matt. 200 years prior to 1600. Guess what that is? That's 1400.
Yeah, it's weird.
I kept it in because I wanted to discuss this, but why maybe they're trying to sound fancy, or why use one word when 35 words will do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so about the year 1400, they abandoned the Santa Fe area, likely due to drought, warfare, or shifting trade and settlement patterns. So they had, wars between tribes and stuff like that, and then it brought on drought. But even so, many Pueblo communities remained active nearby, so it formed the backbone of later Spanish-era settlements. So they moved a little bit outside of Santa Fe, but they weren't living right in Santa Fe because of the drought and all the warfare and stuff. Okay, Santa Fe's colonial story really begins with Don Juan de Oñate, who in 1598 established the province of Santa Fe de Nuevo Mexico as part of New Spain. So the Spanish capital was first located at San Gabriel del Yunque, which was near present-day Oque-Awingue Pueblo. But in 1609 and 1610, Governor Pedro de Peralta moved it to the present-day Santa Fe site. This official founding of the city was as Villa Real de la Santa Fe de San Francisco de Asís. So, Royal City of the Holy Faith of St. Francis of Assisi. Now, adjoining the plaza, the Palace of the Governors was built as the seat of Spanish authority, making it the oldest continually used public building in the United States. So it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Santa Fe, you'll realize, has a lot of old, continuously used buildings. I don't go into it, but when we were there a few weeks ago and we took a ghost tour downtown, we saw the oldest still standing house in Santa Fe. And it is real close to the San Miguel Mission, which we'll talk about. But they have the oldest house, supposed oldest house, still standing there in Santa Fe. Now, during this period, Spanish soldiers, Franciscan missionaries, Tlaxcalan allies, and Pueblo peoples created a complex, often tense colonial society that mixed forced labor, conversion, and local resistance. Now, in the 1680 Pueblo Revolt, this is going to tie in heavily to some of the information here and Matt's part. So we need to look at the Pueblo Revolt. It was the most successful indigenous uprising against European colonization in North American history. And the destruction of the San Miguel Mission in Santa Fe was one of its symbolic and violent moments. The Pueblo were getting angry and they were getting tired of the Spanish rule in their area. They were being forced to stop practicing their religious ceremonies, and the Pueblo religious leaders were being persecuted by the Spanish. And in the 1660s to 1670s, why did I say it like that? There were droughts and famine, and the Spanish blamed the Pueblo religious practices, and the Pueblo blamed the Spanish religious practices. So they just blamed each other for the drought.
Of course. That's what you do. You just start pointing fingers. It's your fault.
Yeah. Weather is not acting right, so it's your fault.
When you blame the weather on somebody,
Yeah, you really don't like them. If the weather becomes their fault, I would say you hate them.
That's right.
Now, there was a Tiwa religious leader that was known as Pope. He emerged from Oke-Owenge, which San Juan, and organized a Pan-Pueblo alliance, uniting dozens of pueblos from Taos in the north to Isleta and Zuni in the south. Now, Pope and other leaders held secret councils, agreeing that the Spanish had to be driven out completely or completely destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
So to coordinate a vast network without horses or a common language, they used knotted cords carried by runners. Each knot represented a day, so the Pueblos could count down to the attack. Well, the original plan was for a coordinated uprising on August 13th, 1680, with attacks on missions, haciendas, and the capital, Santa Fe. Well, on August 9th, 1680, Spanish authorities in Santa Fe captured 2 Pueblo runners, and they discovered their knotted cords, and it exposed the plot. So here's my question, Matt. If you were to catch somebody with a knotted cord, would you go, oh, that means they are planning to attack us, and these knots are a day? Or would you go, why the heck do you have a knotted cord, dude? What does that mean?
I mean, I don't really know why would I even notice that somebody's got a knotted cord? I thought, well, maybe they're fixing to go climb something.
Mm-hmm. So they had to have had previous knowledge of this. It wasn't like they just caught them and that was the catalyst for understanding that there was a secret code and a plot against them. They had to have some kind of pre-knowledge of this, because just finding a knotted cord would not.
Yeah.
It wouldn't tell you anything. But the Pueblo leaders immediately advanced the date. The revolt began on August 10th, 1680, with coordinated attacks across the province. Horses were seized, roads were blocked, water supplies into Santa Fe were cut off, and the Spanish settlements outside the capital were overrun. Now, in Santa Fe itself, the colonial government rushed settlers and soldiers into the plaza complex while the Pueblo forces laid siege. After fierce fighting and a failed Spanish sortie, Governor Antonio de Oterman led about 2,000 survivors, Spanish-born settlers, soldiers, and some Pueblo allies south through present-day New Mexico and Texas, eventually regrouping in El Paso de Norte. Around 400 Spanish colonists were killed, including several dozen priests and some Pueblo people that were caught on the Spanish side. So one of the things that happened was the destruction of the San Miguel Mission. So let's look at that. Within Santa Fe, the Spanish parishes were prime targets.
Mm-hmm.
The main parroquia, the town church on the plaza, was destroyed, and the San Miguel Mission in the Barrio de Analco was set on fire. So the assault was a concerted attack designed to erase the physical symbols of Spanish religious and political control. When the bells fell silent, the authority of the friars and the governor collapsed. So historical accounts from the chapel itself, the San Miguel Chapel itself, describe how the roof was burned and part of the walls were damaged. And there was a bunch of people that were sheltering inside the San Miguel Mission when it caught fire. And due to the roof catching fire and it collapsing in on them, everyone inside, they say, died. Some sources say the chapel was completely destroyed in 1680, but most people argue that it was still partially standing. It just was gutted and had no roof. And I know that's what the tour guides that we talked to in Santa Fe said, is the San Miguel Mission stayed standing. It was just burned out on the inside and the roof was destroyed. And then the Spanish returned and found it that way with all the dead inside. Well, the key consensus is that the revolt burned the interior and the timber roof, leaving only damaged adobe walls and maybe the lower portion of the bell tower intact. So I just talked about the destruction of the San Miguel Mission. So let's look at the construction of the San Miguel Mission. It's widely regarded as the oldest church in the continental United States, still using part of its original structure. It's a Spanish colonial mission church that was built in the early 1600s, and it was repeatedly damaged and rebuilt over 4 centuries. And it remains an active place of worship and a National Historic Landmark in the Barrio de Analco district. The chapel was originally built maybe around 1610, roughly at the same time as the founding of the city of Santa Fe by the Spanish colonists that were led by Governor Pedro de Peralta that I mentioned. It sits in the Barrio de Analco, so, quote, the other side of the river, they say, in a neighborhood that housed indigenous servants, laborers, and Tlaxcalan allies who accompanied the Spanish north from Mexico, and it was designed as a community church for them rather than the main Spanish parish near the plaza. The first surviving written record dates to 1628, but oral tradition and some scholars place construction as early as 1605. So it could be older than what we think. Now, in 1692, Governor Don Diego de Vargas led the so-called bloodless reconquest, recapturing Santa Fe through a mixture of diplomacy, coercion, and limited fighting, and marking the city's return to Spanish control. Governors such as Francisco Cuervo y Valdez later strengthened relations with Pueblo communities, founded Albuquerque, and tried to stabilize the frontier under Spanish rule. Mm-hmm. Or if you've got Google telling you where to go when you're in Santa Fe, it's Albuquerque.
That's right.
So if you want the whole story of that, go listen to our side quest episode on that. But Google thought it was Albuquerque. Now, under Spanish rule, Santa Fe remained the political and religious heart of northern New Spain, serving as a central hub for trade, military defense, and missions. Now, after Mexico's independence from Spain in 1821, Santa Fe became the capital of the Mexican province of New Mexico. The opening of the Santa Fe Trail in the 1820s turned the city into a major commercial crossroads, linking Missouri traders to the plaza with caravans carrying American goods going west and Mexican silver and furs going east. The period brought new economic energy, cultural exchange, and a rising Anglo-American presence even before formal U.S. annexation. In 1846, during the Mexican-American War, U.S. General Stephen Watts Kearny entered Santa Fe virtually unopposed, raising the American flag over the plaza and marking the city's transition to American control. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848 formally ceded New Mexico to the United States, and Santa Fe became the capital of New Mexico Territory in 1851. During the territorial period, Santa Fe grew slowly, saw the construction of institutions such as St. Francis Cathedral, and hosted key events like the brief Confederate occupation in 1862 during the Civil War. Now, I
tell you what, I gotta say something.
Okay.
When I think back about Civil War history, New Mexico never enters into any of those thoughts. You know?
Right. I agree.
I don't know. Yeah. It's one of those weird things where you've learned so much from, school and books and movies and stuff. You have this mental image of Civil War, and New Mexico is not in that ever.
Right.
I mean, it just doesn't fit to me. It's so strange. I don't even consider, New Mexico as being a thing when the Civil War was going on.
Yeah.
That was Mexico over there.
Yeah.
That's just my, the weird thing my brain does.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's like we've talked about with other cities when we've covered cities is the formation date of these cities and when they were officially a U.S. territory and stuff like that. It all seems off to me. Like my timeline on when something became a state or when something became a official city just feels off.
Yeah.
Like I either feel like it's newer or older than it like Santa Fe feels like it should be newer. And then there's some in like the East that I'm like, well, isn't that older? Didn't that become a state way long before? So I need to go brush up on my American history a little more on when things became America.
Like you want to blow your mind again.
All right.
Like on this map that I'm looking at, and it has all the Union states. They're all in blue. California and Oregon are listed as Union states.
Yeah.
And again, I don't consider anything west of Kansas when I think about the Civil War.
Right.
Right. It does not compute.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I'm with you.
I mean, you just, you learn, and then you get a little bit older and then you go, Man, I didn't learn anything.
Yeah, and then you forget, and you learn.
Did I even go to school?
Then, yeah, right. So, real quick before Matt takes over, let's jump back to the San Miguel mission because I want to talk about something that plays heavily into the lore of the San Miguel mission. The San Miguel mission was built over a kiva. Now, a kiva is in the Pueblo area. The Native Americans would dig a big hole in the ground, a large, not like just a hole, but it was like a big circular area that they would dig down, and they would normally perform religious sacrifices and rites and stuff in this kiva. When we were in Santa Fe, we actually got to go down in a kiva that they still had open for you. Most of them were covered on top with like wood, and you would go down a little ladder and go into it. And then they had basically seating areas, and religious practices would be performed in this kiva. And I never figured out why they had to go underground to perform their religious activities, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
I've got pictures of me inside of a kiva, so it's interesting. But it was built over this kiva because the Spanish and their indigenous allies were reusing a sacred established ceremonial site in the early colonial settlement of Santa Fe. Sources on the chapel say that it's built over what was a Pueblo dwelling, but it wasn't a dwelling. It was a kiva. And it's been in their history, since the beginning. Mm-hmm. Matt and I were talking about this before we started. I was having trouble finding stuff on it. It's there.
Yeah, I was too.
It's there. You can go find it. But for some reason, most of the stuff online says, well, it's rumored, or I can't say for sure, but it's there. You can see it when you go to the San Miguel mission. By the altar, they have an area where you can see the kiva below. Mm-hmm. Now, it was apparently built on top of this kiva because they said there was a sense of dark or demonic activity that was tied to that place. And the Spanish in this thought, the Spanish and the missionaries saw the old ceremonial site as spiritually dangerous, and they built the chapel over it, and it was meant to overwrite the power of this kiva with their religion.
Yeah. It's kind of like building an igloo over a volcano.
Right. It makes sense.
It's going to override the heat.
Right. But the thing that the tour guide that we had pointed out was the mission is called San Miguel for Saint Michael. Saint Michael is the archangel who fought the devil. Mm-hmm. Right? If they didn't believe that this place was evil, then why would they name it San Miguel when most other missions in the country were named after other angelic figures or saints?
Yeah.
Now, I realize that it's not the only San Miguel mission in the United States. I know that. So don't at me. I won't respond. If you go, well, it's not the only one, I'll go, yeah, I know, and just ignore you because I know it's not the only one. But Saint Michael carries a huge weight in Catholicism, especially the Spanish Catholicism that they practiced at the time of the building of this mission.
Yeah.
So they believed they needed to name this Saint Michael mission for a reason.
Yeah. It makes sense. And it definitely plays into the allure of the San Miguel Chapel. And since we're talking about that, let's talk a little bit more. Okay. I got to say it's one of the oldest and quietest locations in Santa Fe. And the presence of the kiva underneath really demonstrates the layering of cultures and religions, with the church built directly on top of pre-existing sacred sites. I mean, we're not talking about theoretical layering. We're talking about actual physical layering of cultures, one on top of the other, and being built between 1610 and 1625 is what they say. It's, as Adam mentioned, it's the oldest church in the continental United States. So on the surface, this place doesn't scream haunted attraction. You wouldn't think. It's small. It's got adobe walls, soft light. It's very peaceful. But the stories are there. They're just quieter. Okay? Now, according to local accounts, hundreds of people are buried beneath the chapel. So that alone should change what you think about this place.
Right.
And visitors have reported hearing faint voices with no source, feeling sudden unease upon entering, which that blows me away. So if you enter a church, unease is not the first feeling you should get.
Right.
So that should tell you something
is off.
Right off. I mean,
yeah.
For an average person, now maybe if you're like a demon and you enter a church, you might feel unease.
Right.
Okay. But for, Joe Schmo walking in there, shouldn't feel unease.
Yeah.
The other thing is, people say they sense someone nearby when they're completely alone. And, we've all had that. Somebody's walking up and then you're like, where are they? I know somebody was coming up behind me. I could feel it. And there's nobody there. Well, there's also the legend of the San Jose bell. Okay. Now, the bell, which was reportedly cast in Spain in the 1300s, so it's an old bell, has a story attached to it that honestly feels more like a miracle. A blind man would come to the chapel to pray every day. And one day during his prayers, the bell rang on its own. And when it did, he regained his sight.
Oh, wow.
But when the bell stopped ringing, his sight left too. So he was granted the temporary vision while the bell was ringing, which nobody was ringing the bell. And then as soon as the bell stopped tolling, his vision went away.
That is wild.
Yeah. But here's the detail about that story that's really, it really gets you. This man was later able to describe statues and artwork inside the church that he should have never been able to see. So a lot of people believe that's divine intervention.
Yeah.
But it's truly something that we don't fully understand, because if he was going to be healed, why was he healed only while the bell was ringing? What was that? Unless, it was a sign to other people of, I'm going to grant this man sight. You're not going to believe him, but he's going to have witnessed things in that chapel that, as a blind man, he should not have ever seen.
Right.
Who knows? If he regains his sight, everybody's like, hey, that's really cool. He can see now, But if he does it this way, now he's spreading this information that makes it more of a mystery.
A little more weight to the story, maybe.
Yeah. And sometimes these two ideas overlap in places like this. Is it a divine miracle, or is it just something odd that we can't really wrap our head around? There are also reports of a small child that haunts the gift shop, which used to be a residence, and children who visit have been seen interacting with someone unseen, like laughing and pointing and talking. And we've seen this before, where ghosts of children interact with living children. And, it leads adults to be like, oh, it's just an imaginary friend or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, these kids no. And you see them interact and you're like, what? Who are they talking to?
Yep. Like we said before, if your kids have an imaginary friend, check into it.
You're right. Right.
It could just be an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
But it could be something else.
That's right.
And you might check.
Yeah.
Just investigate a little bit.
And then there's the story of the friar. The friar is a shadowy figure said to linger around the chapel grounds. Not aggressive, just there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this entire area dates back to ancient Pueblo occupation, and the ground itself has been considered spiritually significant for centuries. So, in this area, you're standing on sacred and possibly restless ground. So, you've got those two aspects that collide right there at the San Miguel Chapel.
Mm-hmm.
The sacred religious practices that have gone on there for hundreds of years, and the restless spirits of the hundreds of people that are buried there.
Yeah. And that just popped into my head. The tour guide we had when we were touring Santa Fe and we were going around San Miguel Mission, he was telling us he is of Spanish descent, he said, but he said when he takes tours around, if there's anybody in the tour that has like long, dark, straight hair, or, dark straight hair with a more olive complexion. So to look either more historically Spanish or more like a Native American, they are the ones that get more activity than most Caucasians would. And they believe in that area that it's because they look like the people that were there at the time during the 1600s.
That makes sense.
So he said he's had a couple women that would have their hair pulled while walking through. And it didn't happen to blonde ladies. And I was like, well, if it's from a time when everybody there was either Spanish descent or Native American descent, they might be picking up on that.
Yeah. Now, did you feel anything while you were there?
I did not. No.
I felt the adobe wall. And...
Yeah. I felt the ground under my feet and the heat in the air, but
yeah.
No, I didn't. Nothing that I would classify as paranormal happened around the San Miguel Mission. We did have, I was telling you about it, further on down in Santa Fe. We were walking down a back alley, and I turned around real quick and took a picture. And our tour guide was like, why'd you take a picture behind us? And I said, well, I thought I heard somebody walking up the gravel path and I didn't see anybody. So I took a picture. And he was like, yeah, that actually has happened to other people. So it's interesting that you say that. And then at the end of that path was a creek. And both Ashley and I got a weird light anomaly in our photos at the creek. And this is when I was, the one I was telling you about, where I went to take a picture and my camera would not focus. So I wiped off my lens, put it back up, and it still wouldn't focus. So I said, screw it, took a picture. And then as soon as I took a picture, it cleared up and I took another picture. when I went and looked back at it, the blurry picture, there was a weird light anomaly real close to my camera in that shot. And then the next picture, it was gone. So
yeah, that's weird. I remember looking at those pictures.
Yeah.
It is kind of strange.
So nothing with San Miguel Mission, but Santa Fe, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. And right across the street from San Miguel is the oldest house. And the entire block around it might be one of the most haunted areas in the city. Why? Because this land has seen Pueblo. God, why is that so hard to say?
I don't know. I was having trouble too.
Pueblo life dating back to the 1200s. Spanish conquest, the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, executions, and centuries of tragedy. And people say that you can feel it. You know, visitors will report unease and cold spots and the sense that they're not alone, like Adam, even outdoors. And some people describe an intense historic atmosphere. It's frequently highlighted in local lore as part of Santa Fe's deeply haunted historic district. But it's not just the buildings here. It's the ground itself that holds on to this energy. Like La Fonda on the Plaza. Now, La Fonda on the Plaza is a little more interactive. This hotel sits on the site of inns that date back to the 1600s, and apparently not all the guests checked out. There are multiple named spirits here. First, the salesman. According to legend, this man gambled away his money and in despair jumped into a well that once existed in what is now the restaurant La Plazuela. Now, today, diners will report quick movements out of the corner of their eye and the sensation of something rushing past them. And it's not a waiter with someone's margarita. Some believe that they're seeing the moment that he dives, replaying itself over and over. So the quick flash, you know, that sensation that somebody just kind of ran past you really fast or dove into a well past you.
Yeah.
My thought is, I'm not jumping in a well. I figure out a better way. Why torment myself by, you know, jumping into, you know, I'm claustrophobic enough. You know, I don't want to jump in a well. You know, what if it doesn't kill me?
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
Now I'm stuck in a well.
Now I'm just starved to death down here. That sucks.
It's so awful. And then there's the married couple. The story goes that the husband got into a fight with a bartender and was shot in the back. Now, guests report seeing a woman in white near the staircase, her hand over her heart as if reliving that moment. And then there are the more personal experiences. Like guests have reported footsteps stopping outside of their door, knocking with no one there, or figures appearing briefly in their room. Just, you know, knock on the door, walk by, don't come in. Okay. If I'm in a hotel, I'm trying to have a decent time or get a good night's sleep, please don't come in. The do not disturb sign is out. That includes ghosts too.
Yeah. Right. I mean, respect the sign.
That's right. Come on. Now, staff have reported being followed by unseen footsteps, perfectly in sync with their own. So how did you hear them? I guess you're like, man, my footsteps are really loud tonight.
Yeah.
You know?
Why are my footsteps coming from 5 feet back?
Yeah.
That's weird.
They're in stereo, in surround sound.
Dolby.
But when they stop, the footsteps stop too. So it's like somebody walking right behind you trying to keep sync with you, and then, he's not moving no more.
Stop.
Yeah. So that's kind of that would be really creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, that would really give you the idea there's someone behind me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn around and look, but I'm going to stop suddenly, and then they stop too. You know,
Isn't it funny where you get to a point in fear where you're afraid of there's probably something behind me, but I'm too afraid to look and verify.
right? Yeah,
You know, you would think you would turn and try to catch it,
yeah.
but you're
Well,
too scared.
I'm telling you, what you cook up in your mind that's actually
Mhm.
behind you is much, much worse. You know,
Yeah, it's like when you're a kid and you have to run up the stairs because they're dark, and you think,
yeah.
I get on the stairs and something's chasing me. It wasn't before, and it's not after, but why is it chasing me on the stairs? I don't know.
Like if you had a basement, why is the light always like at the farthest end with a string? So
Yeah.
not only do you have to kind of meander through the darkness to get to the light, then when you have to leave, you've got to click that light and then bolt
Yeah,
to get back out.
get the heck out of there.
I used to do that when I was a kid.
The builder of the basement, they do it for that reason. They're like, I'm going to torment children with this one little design. I move the light 5 foot over, and kids will be scared for a decade.
Yep. One day I'm going to frighten somebody with this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's talk about the La Posada de Santa Fe. So this is one of Santa Fe's most well-known spirits, Julia Staub. Did you hear about Julia Staub when you were down there?
You know how bad I am with names. I might have if you tell me the story, but it's not ringing a bell.
Well, Julia Staub's story begins in Germany in 1865, and she marries Abraham Staub and moves to Santa Fe and becomes part of the city's elite. But her life ends in tragedy in 1896, and according to many, she never left. Guests and staff consistently describe a woman in black roaming the halls, her face appearing in mirrors, and a presence in rooms when no one is in there. Housekeepers.
Now, where is this again? What's the name of the place?
The crap. I have to read it because I can't remember how to say it. The La Posada de Santa Fe.
Oh, okay. This is ringing a bell. Yeah.
Okay. Now, housekeepers have reported seeing her reflection behind them only to turn around and find nothing, that's awful.
Yeah.
You know, that is like, you know, looking in a mirror and seeing a face, freaking you out, and then turning around and it's not there, which freaks you out even more. Visitors have woken to find her standing silently at the foot of the bed. Now, look, I am totally against this.
Yes.
Because from someone who has been terrified by every single one of their children standing at the side of their bed in the middle of the night for no good reason.
Yeah.
This, you know, to wake up and have a ghostly figure standing at the foot of your bed that's 1,000 times worse.
Yeah. I'm a big believer that my bed should be my safe place. And if you're a rude ghost that wants to do this to me, I have lost all respect in you whatsoever.
Yeah, it's like those that like rip the sheets off of you. I'm like, what the heck?
Or crawl into bed with you. This is my safe. No, get out.
Come on, I was looking for you like 3 hours ago, and you were nowhere. Now you're going to interrupt my sleep. Now, come on.
Exactly.
But I can think, you know, you get that terror. I can remember Piper was bad about it. Where, you know, you'd wake up, you'd get that feeling, you're kind of coming out of this dream, and then you're like, is somebody standing here? And you open your eyes, and there they are. Ah! You're like, oh, it's Piper. So this happens, and you're like, ah! Oh, it's just a ghost. Ah! You know, it gets you twice, you know?
Yeah, you scream then for 5 minutes straight.
So, but there's an emotional impact to the La Posada. People describe sudden waves of sadness, deep, overwhelming, and not their own. La Posada even leans into this with ghost tours and a drink called the Julia Rita. Ghostly margarita.
I don't think I would drink that.
Yeah.
And for one, I don't like tequila. But for two, I don't want to drink something that is named after scary lady that stands at the end of my bed.
But if I'm honestly, if I'm going to see a ghost, I'd like to at least have a margarita first.
Well, that's valid.
Might be okay. Now, let's talk about the Drury Plaza Hotel.
How many margaritas did the people that saw her have? That's the question.
that's another story. That's a side quest episode.
Yeah.
How many margaritas does it take for you to see a ghost?
Yeah.
You know?
And let's find out. It's not
more
15.
than 2.
Yeah.
Now, as I was saying, the Drury Plaza Hotel in Santa Fe. Now, the Drury Plaza. Okay, I learned something doing this.
Mm.
If you search,
giving advice for people haunting. It's like, look, I got advice.
You know,
if you want to haunt, here's how to do it.
The Beetlejuice handbook. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So if you search up Drury Plaza Hotel haunted,
mm-hmm.
you discover that if you don't specify which one, that there are multiple Drury Plaza hotels around the U.S. that have a haunting.
See, that's crazy.
Okay? We're talking about a chain hotel,
mm-hmm.
okay, that's got a chain of hauntings. Makes perfect sense to me.
Do you think the hauntings are the same?
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
You know, like you go to McDonald's in Louisiana, it's the same as a McDonald's in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Do you think a Drury ghost in New Mexico is the same as a Drury ghost in New England?
They have a ghostly omelet chef. You know,
yep.
And they all have them. They all have the same one.
Same dude.
He's just a little different at each one.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Different hats that he wears.
I couldn't believe that.
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
like,
crazy.
You mean there's more than one haunted? I was like, I'm reading, going, oh, this is kind of cool. Wait a minute, this place is like in Michigan. What have I done?
Yeah,
and I was like, I have to specifically
mm-hmm.
say the one in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
But the one in Santa Fe used to be St. Vincent Hospital.
Mm.
And then it was a nursing home called La Residencia, which is like the most generic name for a nursing home I've ever heard in my life. It's like, it might as well just be nursing home.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
Which nursing home is your mom in? The nursing home?
Nursing home.
Yeah,
no,
nursing
which
home.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a who's on first thing.
It's the nursing home.
Yeah, right.
It's about as generic as you get. But the stories here get dark, and room 311 is most infamous. A young boy died there after a car accident, calling out for his father, who had also died.
Mm.
Today, people report hearing gasping.
God.
Gasping. That's a new one. I've not heard anyone report ghostly gasping before.
No.
Yeah.
That's a new level of creep, is what that is.
Along with crying and a child's voice. I thought, this is perfect for Adam.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he would love this.
Wet myself is what would happen.
It happens so often that staff reportedly try to avoid using that room at all.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I would. One time. It wouldn't have to be repeatedly, just one time.
But you know, we've talked about so many haunted hotels over the years, and they've all got that one room. Mm-hmm. And the staff, they don't like to go clean it and everything. But there's people like booked out for a year to stay in it.
True, yeah.
Okay, because that's the haunted room. That's the room where the devil comes and plays Monopoly with the ghostly omelet chef, whatever it is. And they're like, I want to stay there. I want that room. I want the room where the doll comes to life and tells me a story.
Yep.
Where's
the one where Satan tickles my butt?
That's right.
That's the one I want.
That's right. But, so we all hear these, but, they all lean into it. This one, it's like please don't. Look, we're almost full. Don't put anybody in 311 because I don't want to have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But here's where it gets even stranger. A real modern account comes from a family visiting the hotel, Megan and Tommy Goodman. They were staying on the first floor when they heard knocking. And at first they thought it was the pipes, but the knocking responded to them. They asked it to stop, and it got louder. They brought in the night manager. Lights off. Knocking started again. They changed rooms. The knocking followed them.
Oh, jeez.
And when staff tried to recreate it later, nothing. Complete silence. So let's go to the basement.
Was that a kid? Because you asked it to stop and it did it louder. That
It was one of
seems
mine.
like it seems like a kid going, "Don't tell me what to do."
That's right.
Or like when Michael was younger, I would say, "Michael, please stop hitting that," and he'd one more time before he quit.
One more time.
I'm like, "Oh, dude."
But down in the basement, because of course there's a basement. And this area once stored Native American artifacts. Some possibly from burial sites.
Oh, fantastic.
Staff described it as a, quote, rite of passage to go down there alone.
No?
I'll stay in room 311, please.
Yep. I don't need a passage.
I'm not going to the basement. You people are nuts.
Why do I need to have I don't need a rite of passage. I'll just pass by the passage. I don't need it.
Yeah. But guess what? That little ritual stopped after reports of walls appearing to ooze blood.
Oh, gross.
Yeah. Overwhelming dread, which that's what I have if I see walls oozing blood.
Yeah, no kidding.
And
Overwhelming
unexplained
dread
noises.
for some reason.
I'll take all the unexplained noises, but if I'm going to see the walls ooze blood, I'm out, man. I don't.
Yeah. The unexplained noises was the person who had overwhelming dread from seeing the bloody walls
That's right.
crapping themselves.
That's right.
That was the unexplained noises.
Yeah. Those kind of shrieks and screams that when you really get scared, I mean, they don't sound like anything. You're
They're
like
4 octaves higher than they should be.
Did that noise come out of me? I think that was my soul trying to escape.
I didn't know I could make that note. How did that happen?
Yeah. That was entirely out of my left nostril. What in the world?
I think my ear just screamed. I don't know how that happened, but
Ooze blood. Come on.
Yeah, no.
I mean, at a hotel.
Yeah, right.
Now, one nurse, Mayclaire Henbury, reported seeing a man in old-style clothing, solid, a physical being, until he vanished. And then later, she saw him again.
Really?
Yeah. Chasing a floating female spirit down the hallway.
Okay, that's not right. That's not right.
So let me get this straight. You saw a physical, solid person vanish.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, you saw that same person again, and he was chasing another ghost that was floating down the hallway.
Yeah. That is.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I saw.
That is wild. That is wild.
Oh, man. I mean, that is some activity right there.
Why is that so weird to me? Why don't we hear that more often? That you see a ghost chasing another ghost. Like,
right.
I don't hear that. Usually they're chasing you.
Yeah,
they're not chasing another ghost.
Yeah, exactly.
That's weird.
I mean, you don't usually see spirits interacting with one another.
Yeah, unless it's a memory, like a stone tape thing.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, unless you're seeing like a reenactment, like a replay of something. They were interacting with one another in life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not really interacting in death. You're just seeing what happened.
Yeah.
But to have two spirits appear to be conscious of one another
Yeah.
and interact, that's something I haven't heard a whole lot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I've ever heard it ever.
Especially chasing, not just
chasing.
talking or what. It's chasing.
It's like a scene from Benny Hill, you know.
Yeah.
He's this old, you know, dirty old man chasing some like female spirit.
Yep.
She's got on like a corset. She's in her
There's
underwear running.
A haunting ethereal yakety sax playing just in the ether.
All of you 20-somethings that listen to the show, they're going, who is Benny Hill?
Yeah, what is yakety sax?
Look it up.
Mm-hmm. You'll either like it or you'll absolutely hate it.
You'll go, Matt is a lunatic.
Yeah.
You know, did he think this was funny? I thought it was
Yes,
hilarious.
Yeah.
You know. All right, now the next place we're going to talk about, we've already talked about, and we did an entire show on, and that's the Loretto Chapel.
Yep.
Which is famous for its miraculous staircase. But the ghost, well, that's the real story. A nun who used to teach there is said to still roam the chapel. And she's got a little bit of personality, let's just say.
Mm-hmm.
Witnesses say she's been seen smoking cigars, which, you know, I mean, nuns, you know, sometimes you gotta smoke a cigar. I mean, come on.
Everybody needs a good cigar occasionally.
She appears in the gift shop, and she even leaves extra money in the register. But perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the ghost nun is that she interacts with children.
Oh, yeah.
One family reported their daughter walking off to speak to a woman in black in the corner. No one else saw her except the child. No,
don't let your kid walk off to do that. You scoop
that
kid up and...
You know, a ghostly nun appears to a child. You know, I don't know that it was malevolent in any way. You would think that if it's the spirit of a nun that served at the Loretto Chapel, that she was probably, you know, very kindly toward the child and that was able to appear. And, you know, sometimes children are like dogs and cats in the fact that they poop in the floor and you have to clean up after them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that they can see ghosts that adults can't. You know, maybe because they don't have that conscious block of this isn't real.
Right.
You know,
right.
Again, like we always say, you got to open your mind a little bit if you're going to actually experience something.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this next one is the Grand Corner Inn. I'm sorry, Grant, not Grand. I can't read tonight, for crying out loud. I can't read my own writing. That's what's ridiculous.
We both had issues, Matt. I couldn't pronounce stuff. You can't read your own handwriting.
This is why I type everything, because if I have hand wrote it, like we did back in the
Early
OG days,
yeah,
you know, there was no telling what I was going to say. I can't even read my own typing. I got to pick a better font, I guess. You know, Comic Sans isn't working for me anymore. But the Grant Corner Inn has one of the most disturbing backstories. A young boy, sickly and confined to a wheelchair, lived there. He would roll himself to the edge of the stairs, and sometimes he fell. And one day he fell and died. And after that, neighbors saw lights in his room. New owners heard banging and crying. Objects moved and doors slammed. Now, out of all those, the banging and crying would creep me out, but seeing the lights in the room, how many haunted places have we talked about that the place is empty, lights are off, and then a light is on in a particular room that nobody's in there?
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think it was Octagon Hall, where the owners would lock up, turn off every single light, and by the time they got to the end of the long driveway, they'd look back and there was a light that was on.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
That's creepy.
It would just stay on at that point.
Yeah, that's right. It's just, how much electricity could it possibly be using? I'll pay it. I'm going back.
Not enough for me to go back.
More noises behind me tonight.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Now, a caretaker described blasts of freezing air that killed plants.
That's cold.
That's really cold, but that's one I know I've never heard.
No.
So cold, that it's going to kill a plant. Wow.
Yeah, that's cold, and it's got to be real cold if it's doing it quick.
Yeah, that's right. If it does it like in your presence while you're watching it. The smell of rotting meat, this is from a caretaker's description, and deafening noises. So noises so loud that you're like covering your ears. Now, rooms 4 and 8 are said to be the most active. And at one point, a cat that hissed at the room was later found inside a refrigerator. Alive. But that's a whole other level of paranormal activity.
Yeah.
Cats don't normally get into refrigerators, and you find them in there, much less
get in the
alive.
Fridge and shut the door.
Yeah, right.
Like, how do they open and shut the door?
Because I'm telling you, if you do manage to have a cat that creeps into your refrigerator while you're picking out your midnight snack, it will let you know if you start to close that door.
Yes.
You're not going to do it by mistake.
Remember we talked about those noises you make when you get real scared?
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a cat being closed up in a refrigerator.
Yep, exactly. Didn't know I could make that noise, but there you go.
Now, I'm curious if you got this one. The Headless Horseman of Alto Street. Did they cover that one on your tour? Or did you take a tour of the whole town?
Yeah, it not the whole town.
Well,
but we did several spots around the plaza and stuff like that. There was a headless. I think this might be what you're talking about, because there was a headless story, and it's the only one I know of in the area. So
okay, so Alto Street brings us to full folklore. A man named Juan Espinoza sought a love potion from two sisters believed to be witches. Adam's nodding his head. He knows this one. It didn't go well. So he confronted them, and they cut off his head with his own sword. Now, a headless horseman rides the area, especially near the river. Witnesses describe a tall figure on horseback moving quickly and disappearing suddenly. Still searching.
Yep.
Still angry.
Yep. I would be too.
I mean, right. Number one, he bought this love potion that didn't work. They probably gave him like some Pepto-Bismol and it didn't do anything.
Yep.
And so he comes back and he's pretty pissed, and then they cut off his head. Well, how did they get his sword away from him?
Here's what I was told.
Okay.
When he went to confront them, he went after one sister, and as he went after this sister, she moved. He tripped over like a little footstool or something in the house, and he went down, and the other sister came up behind him and grabbed his sword and beheaded him.
Wow.
And this apparently took place 2 or 3 doors down from the oldest house in Santa Fe.
Okay. So again, it's like I said, when we talked about the oldest house briefly, that whole block is haunted.
Yep.
Yeah.
And while you were talking, Matt, I texted you a picture of the oldest house in Santa Fe because I took a picture of it.
Awesome. Awesome.
So,
Now, those are the places with the most activity and a lot of the stories behind it, but there are still others, like the Casa Real Health Center. It's built over a penitentiary graveyard. People report moaning and cold spots and just an oppressive atmosphere. The Laguna Pueblo Mission. The coffin of a murdered priest repeatedly rises through the floor over the decades.
no thanks.
Yeah. So, what do you think about Santa Fe? This place is haunted as heck. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
You can kind of explain away one, maybe two of these stories. But when you've got multiple named spirits, consistent sightings, physical interactions, modern eyewitness accounts, ghosts chasing other ghosts, there's so many of them. They're like, no, this place is mine to haunt. You find your own hotel.
Bleeding walls.
Yeah, bleeding, oozing blood. Come on. At some point, you've got to consider that just maybe Santa Fe isn't just haunted. It is layered with something that never left.
Yeah.
Okay? So, what do you guys think? You know, have we got some folks listening in Santa Fe or in that area? Have you guys experienced anything? Have you been, like Adam, gone on a trip? Have you heard some of these stories? You may have heard some that I wasn't able to dig up.
Yeah.
Let us know. And the best place to do that is in our Facebook group. It's called The Graveyard. You can go and hear stories like this, hear people talk about past episodes, sharing jokes, asking for help with their own paranormal problems. It's just a great place to gather. Nobody's going to call you a nutso. We all just want to hear these really cool stories. Don't forget to check out our website, which is graveyardpodcast.com. And there you can find links to purchase Graveyard Tales merchandise. You can listen to the show and you can become a patron. And thank you to everyone who has donated to the work that Adam and I have done over the years. We sincerely appreciate it. And it's what keeps us going.
Oh, yeah.
So until next time, we'll save you a seat in the graveyard.
See you soon.